Amid all the excitement surrounding the recent Mario announcements, I thought it would be a good time to try to capitalize with a retrospective on all the Mario games I could get my hands on. Nothing like another dork on the internet trying to tell you why Super Mario games are good. I might even dare to point out a few flaws. As I was searching and collecting and getting everything sorted for the review, I found this game on sale, half off an already meager $6 price tag. I don't know why, but during the Mad Nintendo frenzy, I found myself pausing, strangely drawn to this game. The simplicity of the cover, the charm to the art style, even the name Florence seemed to run around through my mind over and over. Before I knew it, the game was already downloading. Any idea of a silly Mario video was absent from my thoughts, though most likely not forever. I always love to have a chance to go into a game completely blind, usually only going off the first impression and maybe a line or two from their sales pitch. It's like the Dear God situation when the price to play is negligible to the point where no matter what, you'll see a return in the investment. I'll come right out and say I recommend this game. I would even say you should play this game before you watch this video. If not, this is a fair warning that I'll be covering every aspect of the game that I personally drew from. It's also a very short experience, something I'll touch on later. With that being said, we begin with a little background leading to this game. Florence is an indie title from the Melbourne team Mountains, released back in 2018. This is the first title they ever released on a studio comprised of less than a dozen people, a self-described craft game studio, which is sweet, I guess? From what I can tell, they haven't released anything outside of this title, and I can see why. It looks like the development cycle for this game went through so many incarnations until reaching a beautiful maturation. I think this also shows the side of the video game creation that is more art-oriented than gameplay. Originally designed for the mobile game market, and you can tell, the entire control layout is modified from a touch system without any real issue, although it is a good idea to play this game on either a phone or a controller. Alright, that feels like enough build up to this. Let's actually talk about the game. Off the bat, the game had my interest with the very first frame. Florence Yao, 25 years old. Dang, dude, me too. Except for the whole Florence and Yao part. We follow our protagonist as they accomplish all the little things that comprise an average day. I knew the story was going to speak to me when I was avoiding my boring routine job to simulate the boring routine job in-game. The choice of color palette is important. All muted colors and uninspired design, it's the life most of us face. I love how every piece of the story must be interacted with to continue. With a few exceptions, there are no words, and everything is explained and inferred through direct input. It takes incredibly careful design to make a story unsaid and deep at the same time, and I find Florence pulls this off wonderfully. Every call you make to your mom is comprised of defensive answers, social media is only displayed with half-shown images that you carelessly like or repost, food is clicked on until eaten while mindlessly watching TV. It's all a showcase of the mundanity of Florence's life. This silent color palette and monotony is broken with an old box of memories. This begins the use of dreams the game so carefully illustrates, sometimes literally. Dreams are never outwardly said or described, but scrubbed away from fictional clouds. There's also a nice parallel to this when our protagonist pursues their dream through the same function, scrubbing a page to reveal a piece of art. The passage of time is also done by hand, winding a clock forward to show how life will gradually change, both for the better and the worse. This game is a love story and in a very real way explores the aftermath of a happy relationship through the erosion of time. What is vibrant and invigorating eventually simmers down to routine, as time so often does. As much as I like all these elements to the game, it was this exact moment that I was fully sold. By her phone's death, she could finally exist in the world, and by its sound, she could see her future. On that note, it's worth saying the music is downright beautiful. I love that the initial soundtrack is mainly piano-based, and when Florence meets Krish, the music begins to incorporate cello, the instrument he plays. It's a subtle representation of how one's own story and rhythm of life become intertwined with others as we drift towards our own symphonies, building and waning something terrible and beautiful. Conversations remain wordless, represented as puzzles you piece together to communicate. During your first date, the puzzle is mildly complex with different shapes and sizes, but as you grow familiar and comfortable, the pieces become bigger and easier to put together. Eventually, this grows into blocks that naturally fit together faster and faster until only actions remain. They even flip this dynamic when arguing. The pieces sharpen as the characters totter back and forth by how quickly they can get their words out, sometimes leaving the character without input to symbolize saying things you don't mean. Krish is open about his dreams, wanting to perform as a professional, world-renowned cellist. By doing so, Florence begins to rediscover her own dreams of being an artist. This is the beauty of a healthy relationship, as it brings out the best of both parties. Florence performs her job without any input in this period to show that not even the monotony of work is getting her down. She literally pushes Krish into applying to music school, and in turn he gives her a new paint set. They explore each other's hobbies and meet their families and ultimately move in together. While moving, you have a box that's filled with all the things Krish owns. You must place all the items where they personally belong. Only problem is there isn't enough room for everything. You must decide what items will go into storage and where everything should fit. I imagine I put too much time into this, but I found it's hard to decide what items I would want to keep and what new things will be displayed. This was most poignant when deciding to take down the photo of Florence and her mom to hang up the newly taken photo of Florence and Krish's family. In a simpler world, this would be where the story ends, happily ever after in each other's arms. But life isn't known for being simple. Although things are great, even the best they'd ever been, nothing can stop the power of the passage of time. Unlike we see in most love stories, there's no big reason for the fall of this relationship. A small argument here and there doesn't make a culprit for the fall of love. It's all chalked up to monotony and growing apart over time. The care and love you originally had is still there, but lethargy has snuffed out the spark. We desperately try to patch things together and make the puzzle fit together again, but the parts no longer match. In the real world, we do not end with a bang, but a hollow whimper. We are taken back to the box section, this time in a single, silent color, and we try to remember what belongs to us, at least what pieces we decide to take back. The added touch of the two toasters being indistinguishable is a sentiment to how hard it is to separate with your belongings, let alone your attachments. This begins the process of leaving somebody behind, physically and mentally, separating pieces of them from your memory, learning to sleep by yourself again. It's time to let go. In this part, you must let him disappear. Any button you press will bring him right behind your boots. It's up to you to allow him to fall from you, no matter how you know it'll make you feel. It's the only way to wake up. The one thing that can bring Florence from this state is finding herself working towards what she truly wants. Through this hardship, she can finally gain the courage to pursue her dreams by her own merit. There is a shadow of the inspiration given to her from this lost relationship, and recognizing this allows Florence to grow into the person she wants to be. I'm flourishing. Wow. Look at me flourish. We are finally at the point where our life is prospering, and we have a real sense of self-accomplishment that when we find this old photo hidden away in our office, it's not a painful memory, but a pleasant reminder of where we came from. It's a complex feeling, but one we ultimately take with us. Art drives us, and with sales comes the gallery, the recognition, the actualization. And with all said and done, there is a slight pull of cello in the story's final sting. I think Florence is an amazingly touching experience, one with a unique art style and sublime soundtrack that is overall extremely tight and realized. With that being said, it is a $6 game with about 30 minutes of playtime, and once you beat it, there's no real reason to go back to it. The idea of money over game time and getting the most bang for your buck is something I hope to dive into very soon. But for now, I think the unique storytelling and presentation of Florence makes it a game worth buying, especially when we consider that this would be a positive pledge towards more artful story-based focus. If anything, I see this game as a test to see what can be done in the video game media, what kind of involvement we can truly give to a player as they can emphasize and understand a situation that normally is beyond them. I can only hope Florence is a sign for good things to come.